this whole table is about 4,500 cells. I'm going to direct seed Poa Lab, the silver tussock, and the seed, just like grass seed. I'll show you that in a second, exactly what I'm going to do with that. But first, I have to make a little spot for the seed to go, and I've got this really whiz-bang high-tech sort of thing here. It's a patented pusher-downer, and there's 50 screws screwed in, and so I can just do 50, and I can do 50. It's pretty basic. Doesn't take long to do a whole table. You can see I've already done a few trays. Now I'm going to sow the seed of this grass. This is the silver tussock, Poa labellarii, you know that one, Poa lab. So I've got all that seed in there. Hopefully that'll be enough to do 4,000 or so cells. I can cover over with sticky tape as many holes as I want if too much seed is pouring out. Okay? Now, it's basically, I'm usually left-handed, but it's basically just a matter of doing. I used my hand as a protection. A bit windy today, so I'll probably water it in fairly soon. And that's basically it. And that's it. Signed, sealed, and delivered into the potting mix. Some of the seed is still on top, some of it's buried, and others are just at the right level. The only issue with this now is that we've got to keep it moist for the allotted time. Just like any carrot seed or beetroot seed that's in the garden, you've got to keep it moist. If it dries out, it won't germinate. So same with the grass seed. If you keep it moist, it will germinate. Usually it'll germinate in about 6 to 10 days. I think the important thing really is that you got to know that your seed's viable. So either do some germination tests prior in a little veggie punnet. So you just sow say a quarter of a teaspoon or a gram, and see how many germinate. Count them up. Count up the germinants, and then you know exactly how many seeds you're going to need to do an area like this. But if they don't germinate, you've got something wrong with your seed. You might have to go out and collect some more. It might be too old, it may not have been stored properly, insect damage, there's all sorts of things. So you got to know if your seed's good, and this seed is good because it's fresh and it's been stored in the fridge. It's only small seed, so you don't need to bury it very far. So the holes that I had made with my pusher downer weren't very deep. They're probably only about maybe 4 or 5 mil. And after I'm finished watering like this, that you can still see the indents of in the potting mix. So the seed is probably about 2 or 3 mil deep, which is just about perfect. It's a great, not only is it an important grass species for our local region, for re-veg and also for land care, but it also makes a really nice landscaping plant for the garden. It can be a bit hazardous in fires, though. The seed was sown on the 4th of February. So they started germinating 8 days later, and now you can probably see that just about every cell has a bit of green to it. And I'll show you where the worst bit is, that didn't germinate all that well, is sort of just in areas along the edges, like right here. You can see, you know, there's one there, there's one there, one there, one there, one there. There's one there too. That one's missing. That one's missing. That one's missing. There's one. So it's usually the edges that sort of miss out because they dry out, and the sprinklers are good, but they're not perfect, and neither are humans. I've learned. It won't take long before this is just a big patch of green. And what I do sometimes, I put labels in some trays, and when they start to germinate, I actually start counting how many are germinating. And then I come back in 2 days' time and make sure that they're still growing, that I'm getting more cells that have got a living plant in them. But I would guess here that on this table there would be well over 90%, probably 95, 98%. And it's just those few edges that I might have to take care of. If you're wondering what the silver tussock Poa lab actually looks like, is this. Now, this is late summer. We've had almost 10 weeks of no rain, except for one little 15 mil that we had 6 weeks ago. So it's very brown. It's a spring, early summer growing plant. Grows to about 1 meter, and then it sends up its flower heads, seed heads, to about 1.2, 1.5. And they will start to green up again. The great thing about these is that they soften up a landscaping area, like under this gum tree here. Looks really nice around the roundabout. The tree looked very stark and almost stuck in the middle of nowhere here when we first planted it, and now we've planted the tussock around it, and it just softens it and makes it look really nice, I think. We've also planted some kangaroo grass just recently with a weed mat here. You can see it down here, maybe you can see the weed mat, and there's the kangaroo grass plant. Here's its little flower heads or seed heads. They're a very pretty plant. They're a much lower plant, so by having the two, they're going to step up and make it even softer looking. Now the Poa certainly can be burnt. It can be slashed with a weed, slasher by hand or by mechanical slasher. So it's a great one for if it's looking a little bit old and too much dead material, not enough green. You can renew it, and away you go. Very handy plant. Also, obviously, highly burnable. Not great for having up close to the house, but out here, it's not a serious problem for us, and it's only a little patch. Poa lab, silver tussock.